Lois Lane was pregnant in Justice League, and Zack Snyder was planning for him to become the next Batman. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Zack Snyder's Justice League was the foundation of his DCU. It was supposed to be the root of his universe, setting up the futures of the entire Justice League and hinting at their potential futures. Although the plans were scrapped and DC Studios moved on from the visions that the director had for the franchise, it continues to have a special place in the hearts of the fans, specifically what could have been. One of the many potential storylines that Snyder wanted to follow was that of Clark Kent. While it was hinted that Lois Lane would end up dying, this wasn't the only storyline that was teased for her character. It would seem that Lane was pregnant with Clark Kent's child, and the direction that this story was going to take is extremely crazy. After seeing a pregnancy test in her drawer, fans believed it to be Chekhov's gun and were convinced that she was pregnant. Naturally, why would the plot device be introduced if the filmmaker did not intend to use it? With so much speculation, Snyder was asked about the test, and his answer was more direct than anyone expected. She's definitely pregnant. In an interview with Esquire, Zack Snyder dropped a bomb on DC fans in the biggest way possible. While fans often have theories related to a superhero film and it isn't anything new, it is rare for it to actually be true. After watching Zack Snyder's Justice League, fans had a theory about Lois Lane that seemed almost far-fetched. However, it would seem that Snyder was planning someone closer to Dick Grayson or Jason Todd than any of Clark Kent's biological sons. The director outright stated that yes, she was in fact pregnant. Now that this storyline had been introduced, there were so many directions that he could have taken with it. Considering how many storylines can be explored through John Kent and Jordan Kent, and even his half-son, Connor Kent, the addition could have been astronomical. After this, Barbara would take over both of their roles, taking up the mantle of Commissioner as she usually does and becoming Batgirl and filling in the gap. However, this would not last very long as Superman's son would come in, not as the Man of Steel, but as the Caped Crusader. Further in the interview, Zack Snyder talked about the direction he was going to take with Superman's son. Interestingly, he started by talking about Barbara Gordon, stating that he desperately wanted her to come into the universe. It would seem that Batman would sacrifice himself, and Jim Gordon would be out of the picture. It would seem that the younger Kent would not have powers, but this would not stop him from doing good, taking on the role of Batman. It is safe to say that this approach would be unlike anything from the comics. The vision that Snyder had showcases exactly why he was an excellent choice to head the creative decisions of the franchise. You see, I always wanted Barbara Gordon to come in the movies. Commissioner Gordon would be on the way out, and we'd have Barbara starting to play a bigger role. My idea was that after Batman sacrificed himself, there would be a window where there was no Batman, and I thought Barbara could fill that until the child of Superman and Lois, who has no powers, would become Batman when he was of age. While James Gunn is certainly making a lot of interesting decisions, the memory of Snyder's mind will forever have a sacred place in the hearts of fans. You can watch Zack Snyder's Justice League on Prime Video. Superman teaser trailer is out and DC fans are loving James Gunn's version of Man of Steel. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. James Gunn's Superman has dropped its first teaser trailer, and it has received a positive response from the world over. Gunn's film is undoubtedly one of the most anticipated films of 2025. From the teaser, it appears that Gunn has checked every box to make DC fandom happy. David Corenswet will play this iteration of Superman. Rachel Brosnahan plays Lois Lane while Nicholas Hoult appears as the classic Superman villain Lex Luthor. Other confirmed cast members of the film include Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen, Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, Maria Gabriela de Faria as the engineer, Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific, Terrence Rosemore as Otis, Anthony Carrigan as Metamorpho, and Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl. Fans saw a Man of Steel who is more relatable and spreads optimism around. Particularly, one scene in the trailer where David Corenswet's character swoops in to save a girl from crashing debris is something classic Superman does. Superman stands as hope for the people as the chant, "Superman," gets louder and louder during the run of the teaser. It is further highlighted in the teaser when a young boy raises a flag with the S symbol and whispers Superman's name during a time of crisis. Gunn himself mentioned the inspiration from comic books during an interview. He shared with comicbook.com, "There's a lot of stuff from the comic books above and beyond anything else, All-Star Superman, that influenced me more than anything. The comic-accurate costumes, the settings, and even the plethora of characters and Easter eggs that flashed through the scenes look all promising. We even have Krypto the Superdog in the movie. Even before the teaser trailer, James Gunn gave us hints that comics would play a huge part in his Superman film. More recent superhero film directors have received the wrath of the audience for steering away from the source material for the sake of originality. However, Gunn plans to reel in the comic book fandom by giving them what they exactly want. This Superman is also going to be kissy-kissy, as we see a couple of smooches between David Corenswet's Clark Kent and Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane. It appears that Superman doesn't need to hide his identity from Lois. Adding to the color tone, fans didn't know they needed to hear a twist on John Williams' iconic Superman theme from the 70s to get in the spirit. The moody theme perfectly balances out the cheery colors, giving fans a satisfactory experience from the teaser. The first thing that hits us right from the moment Superman crash lands at the beginning of the trailer is the bright colors of the teaser. James Gunn nailed the character and the world's tone with these colors. The colorful filter also helps bring hope and optimism into the film. The color choice also gives the character a classic look, which many fans point out to be a prime attraction in this trailer. In an attempt to modernize Superman, Snyder gave a more serious approach to Henry Cavill's Superman. While it appealed to a certain section of fans, Cavill's version wasn't the superhero that kids grew up with. The blue hue color tone of the movie itself gave off a sense of darkness. Fans also complained that Cavill's Superman couldn't spread the hope and optimism that the character stood for. Another hot take is that Snyder's movie, while visually unique, wasn't ideal for franchise building due to its more self-contained themes. However, Gunn's vision for the Superman universe feels expansive, even reminding us of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man as a foundation for a broader franchise. Given the manner in which things ended at DCU, James Gunn's Superman is expected to face obvious comparisons with Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. However, many felt that Gunn understands Superman better than Snyder. The Guardians of the Galaxy director understands that the DC superhero needs to be relatable and not a dark, gritty portrayal. Before Henry Cavill's Man of Steel, fans were privy to live-action Superman through actor Christopher Reeve. Fans would generally like to forget about the Brandon Routh version, though not due to any fault on the actor's part. Donnerverse had two great movies that made even the non-readers of comics into a huge Superman film. And then there were the two horrible films that were made purely for money and ironically didn't make much. Gunn shared about the influences from Donner's films via comicbook.com. It has already been mentioned that the teaser carries a classic look to it and that John Williams' music works perfectly for it. If these two factors don't scream James Gunn's inspiration for the film, we don't know what will. Throughout the teaser, fans can see the influence of Richard Donner's Superman films. Even the visual text in between scenes resembles the font that the 1978 film used. I think that